All right, sitting here with Sacramento Kings General Manager Scott Perry. Scott, thanks for taking the time out of your day, man. How's Vegas been treating you? It's obviously got to be pretty good to see your summer league team sitting here up 4-0.
Yeah, well, Vegas is Vegas. It's been a couple of years since I've been here, but enjoying the time, getting to know everybody, obviously with the staff and all the players on the roster and the coaches. And so far, so good. It's been a good week. Team has played very hard. We've won all the games, as you've mentioned, but the biggest thing that has pleased me is just how hard we've played and how together we've played.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're seeing Coach Mystery do it with an identity, that defensive orientation. It's a lot of the things we've heard you echo as well. And the big thing that you've mentioned is building that identity. How much is establishing that in the Summer League, the first event since you've been able to take over, already establishing that here now?
Well, we talked about that at the onset of this Summer League. This group, this was the first opportunity to start laying the foundation for that identity. Those 6 values that we talk about so much: competitive, tough, team-oriented, disciplined, accountable, and professional. I'm seeing those qualities with our group, both on and off the court. That's extremely important to us. And so I'm proud of what we've been able to do thus far.
Absolutely. And when you're establishing those identities, the 6 things you've laid out, can't help you mention it in every single thing. Obviously, a very key staple here. I was ready to be tested for what it's worth.
Okay, all right, okay. You passed your test.
There we go. But what's the process like for you in figuring out, establishing what those 6 things are going to be? You've spent a lot of time in the league. Is this something that you've held with you throughout the years, or has it slowly developed over time to this point?
I would say it's been fine-tuned over the years, but a lot of these values are really at my core and what I believe in terms of team building. I think when you examine very successful sports franchises, not just basketball ones, but football, baseball, you name the sport, a lot of these qualities that I talk about, these values, exist in those areas. And so you have to be committed to that to be able to live those every day. I think when you do that, you give yourself an opportunity to be successful over a longer period of time.
Right. So betting on the person in part of this, because a lot of what you're pointing to is the intangibles. Obviously, there's the basketball skill as well, but betting on that translating.
Oh, there's no question about it. Because look, most of the guys anyway, when you get to this level, have some measure of talent, some skill, whether they can run fast, jump high, shoot the ball well, defend well, whatever it may be. But the biggest separator I've found over my 25 years in the NBA and 13 years prior to that in college coaching is the makeup of the person, because that's what endures over a 7 to 9 month season, is those qualities. That's what a person is going to have to lean on. So that's what's going to be the little things that separate when 2 guys are talented, people that have those 6 values and practice those every day, I believe give you a little added advantage necessary to come out on top.
Yeah, and obviously you think the rookies play into that well. We've seen them playing well on the court out here as well. But what's the, can you take us behind the scenes a little bit in the process of when you're trying to evaluate those things? Like we mentioned, intangibles, I think they can be a little bit harder to read into rather than just watching film. But what's the process like for not only when you're bringing guys in, but you're inheriting a roster and looking at what you already have already and trying to figure out who fits what you're looking for there?
Yeah, well, a lot of that is time spent through either conversation or observation in how they practice or play in games or just how they interact with coaches or teammates or front office. It's a constant learning to really figure out who really has those qualities. So I'm still in the process of determining that. Now, as it relates to the rookies, there's a lot of homework that goes in to drafting a player. Of course, we liked their talent. We evaluated the talent, thought that they were good enough to be NBA players. But in talking to a number of people that live with them, been around them, mentored them, they all would say, hey, they exhibited a lot of those qualities and made us more comfortable in selecting them in the draft, or in Dylan Cardwell's case, signing him as a 2-way player.
Absolutely. And then you see, already rostered guys like DeMar. So you never hear a bad thing about him, a great locker room guy. How important is it to have those established guys that have already proven all that things that you're saying to be that mentor for the younger players?
It's extremely important. In my experience, the best team that I obviously had been around for a number of years was Detroit Pistons back in the 2000s. And what made us special and great at that time was the locker room and the men that resided in that locker room. Because not only did the organization set a vision and the standard, they did themselves. They understood it and they carried it out. So now when you start to bring younger players in or other people into the locker room, it polices themselves. They let the rookies know or the younger players know or anybody you may trade for know this is how we do business. So you mentioned a guy like DeMar DeRozan, who I've had tremendous amount of respect for over his career. I've watched him develop as a pro. And at every stop he's been professional. He's been accountable. He's been disciplined. All those things we talk competitive, tough, team-oriented. So now when he sits with Anik Clifford or Maxime Renault, his words are going to matter because he's done it. He's played. And that knowledge that he can share and others like him can share with the younger players, but I believe helps equip them, the younger players, to be successful as they move forward.
Absolutely. And then we see Devin out here, obviously playing well, dealing with some things a little bit, but, inheriting a guy like that, obviously, I'm sure that you were familiar with him throughout your own evaluation process when you were in New York, but what have your impressions of him been and how do you feel like he can continue to develop as a player, moving him into that point guard spot a little bit?
Yes, definitely continue to learn Devin as well. He had a very defensive orientation as a player when he was at Providence. I think that's what allowed him to be drafted where he was drafted. And so I want to see him continue to make that impact at this level. I've always believed as a young player, when you come in the door, you have to maximize your strengths. So his strength is his ability to defend the basketball. He's got long arms. He's got good straight ahead speed. What I've liked from him in the summer league too, he's had some moments, especially on the offensive side, where he can really push the ball and attack the rim and get there with the ability to finish. He's not a finished product there yet. He's developing for sure. And it's going to be incumbent upon us and our coaching staff to help him develop and grow as a player in those areas that he's not quite as strong at yet. But he's got to consistently defend at a high level, because that is the one thing that he can do to help our team and our organization have a chance at success.
Yeah, which obviously fits into that defensive orientation
Absolutely.
that Coach Dip is doing, you're talking about. How much, we've seen the league, I'm sure you've seen it obviously change so much in the time you've been in here. It almost feels like, I guess I can't go quite back as far as you, to be honest, but from my perspective, you see like Houston and Golden State transitioning the game a little bit where it becomes more three-point oriented, and then everybody adapts to that, and then teams start to zag a little. How much do you keep up with like just the trends of the direction of the league and trying to, counter that compared to playing your own game?
You definitely keep up with, quote unquote, the trends of the league. But I just believe you have to have a solid foundation and principles of what you believe what it takes to win. There's multiple ways to win. So if one team is shooting a ton of threes and they happen to win that year, but again, when you talk about the Golden State Warriors, when they were winning, they had two of the best shooters of all time. Probably the best shooter of all time is Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson was right behind him. But they were extremely effective in the two-point area as well. And what didn't get talked about a lot with that group is they were a top 10 defense each of those years. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. So to me, we want to build our identity of who we are. We believe firmly that it is a winning recipe when you play it the right way, and then you just own it. And so this old saying, like in boxing, styles make fights, And so it's no different in basketball or football and other sports. You might have a team that really likes to run. You may have another team that likes to play half court. It's who can play their game the best on a particular night or in the playoffs in a particular series that end up coming out on top.
Yeah. And then obviously we mentioned like how you want your guys to play, the energy that you want out there, but stylistically trying to figure it out. You mentioned styles make fights, going to depend on what you have on the roster. But when you're inheriting something, trying to build, how much are you, there's the current guys and how do we optimize what we got going on right now compared to, hey, we're still working to build towards something. So we're going to try and mold things in a new direction.
Well, I've said often about this year is really about building our identity. So we're going to play to that identity. And, Doug Christie and I are very much aligned on that. I think you're seeing an early indication of how we're going to play in Summer League in terms of extending the floor defensively and allowing that type of effort and energy to create offensive opportunities and to be able to play faster offensively off of an attacking defense, a swarming type defense. So that part is what we want to establish, how we want to play, and the guys on the roster, we're confident we'll buy into that, and we'll continue as we watch and evaluate to make whatever necessary adjustments to the roster that we need to.
Yeah. And that full court pressure you're seeing out here, there's also defensive positional versatility, especially with the rookies you're seeing here. It feels like positions in general get a little bit muddied in the modern NBA. Like I'm curious, like when you're talking about needing a point guard with Dennis Schroeder, right? I think people have in their mind what a traditional point guard is, but is there, I guess, like, do you have a definition for that sort of role? Or are you more so looking for, hey, we need a distributor, we need this specific skill set?
No, look, the point guard position, even though it has evolved in how some of the guys play it, still to me requires a lot of leadership and really a coach on the floor mentality and understanding of not only his role, but all of the other players on the floor to be able to see the game, make decisions, when to push it, maybe when to slow it up a little bit. He also is the initiator of your defense because oftentimes he's going to be matched up with the primary ball handler for most teams. So that is still the position is still hugely important. Even though how it's played may have evolved some, you still can't run away from the leadership that it requires. That's why we went out and got a guy like Schroeder, who has exhibited that leadership, but he also exhibits that toughness. He's a fearless competitor and playing the position. And that personality, should resonate amongst his teammates and allow us, again, to start creating the style of play that we want to be known for in Sacramento.
Yeah. And then when you look at positions sort of 2 to 4 there as well, that feels like where there's a lot of interchangeability in today's league. How much do you differentiate all of them, or just, you need to be able to match up with what the other team's got out there?
Look, obviously you got to be able to have some size to match up with different teams because the league is constantly getting bigger. So that's going to be important. It's great, like you said, to be able to be versatile in guard. 2 through 4 or 1 through 4 allows your team to switch defensively effectively. And so I'm just excited about it. Again, I need to see the full roster together playing. Right. So before I get too much into the weeds and talking about, what we look like, I've seen this team from afar for the most part. And so I'm anxious for training camp to start and see Doug and his staff put their imprint on this group and get them to play, the Sacramento way, if you will, moving forward.
Absolutely. And last thing I got for you, Scott, just how has this process been for you? Is it fun to take over a new team? You got, like you mentioned, you're learning everybody, trying to turn things in a new direction. Is it an enjoyable process for you? A little stressful?
No, it's awesome. I really enjoy coming into a new situation. Obviously, I had some, a little bit of familiarity with the community, obviously with Vivek ownership and some of the people that worked here. So that made it even easier for me to come in and get adjusted a little faster. But I enjoy the building process and building something and making it something that can become successful in the near future. So every morning I wake up happy about that. And I have a lot of good people that are working with me because you can't do it alone. That's the most, my staff, and you'll hear me say this often, the staff is what makes or breaks, leadership or, success. And I've, we're assembling an excellent front office staff as we have with the coaching staff, and the support staff in the building is awesome. And so that culture and those 6 things, that applies to that group as well too. It's not just to the players. And so that's what makes me most excited, just getting everybody together and everybody buying in to build something that we hope is going to be special.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Scott. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
I know the city of Sacramento's excited, man.
All right. Thank you.